gashacon! Gacha! Level up! Bakso, dokso, gekso, boso, bakso, bike!
Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Lazer Turbo. Now, Kamen Rider Lazer in general I really like this character. When Kamen Rider EX-Aid was going on, he was my favorite character going on there, and then on Christmas Eve, he was actually killed off, which was very early, like really killed off fast, because usually if a character in the Kamen Rider series would die off, they would usually die in mid-series or maybe around the end of the series, but this guy just died extremely fast to the point where I actually got really heartbroken. But later, back in the series of Kamen Rider EX-Aid, around after a little bit after going about to the midsection, he was brought back to life, and I was happy about it. And he got this new form called Kamen Rider Lazer Turbo. Basically, it's his level 0 form. So 0 form is considered as to be like a proto form, but it happens to be much more powerful than his previous forms. Like, for example, I reviewed his level 3 form back right over here some time ago. It's even powerful than that form as well. Alright, so now let's get on to the review right away. So first of all, as usual, let's go over some components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the rider himself, the Kamen Rider Lazer Turbo. And then here are his accessories slash like other equipment. So number one, you get a set of hands. So currently on the figure, I am using the fist hands. Other than the fist, what hands you get is that you get a semi-open hand, you get fully open hands, and, oh, sorry about that. And then you get the multi-purpose hands. So the multi-purpose hands, I usually refer to the hands that allows you to grab onto a certain object. So in this case, these are the main hands, or the only hands that you'll be using when it comes to holding the weapon that comes with the figure, which is the gashacon sparrow or sparrow. So these I really like the idea of this weapon. So in this form, it looks like a long range weapon, so like a bow. But what you can also do is you can divide these parts and each use them as a close combat weapon, like a size. So definitely a cool concept. Now this is pretty much exactly the same as the one I reviewed back then, was the Kamen Rider Lazer level 3 Girigiri Chambara form. So nothing too different, but I would like to mention that what the figure that you see in front of you is not a brand new figure. I recently found a website that sells secondhand figures, including SHF Kamen Rider figures in Korea, and they happen to have this figure, so I grabbed it right away. So I grabbed it for pretty cheap, around about $50 to $60. The main reason is that there was something missing in this figure. So originally, if you buy this figure in the gashacon sparrow, the weapon, there should be another small piece that it should be inserted here. So basically, you should get a black piece of this thing right over here. So you see this yellow piece right over here? You're supposed to get a black version of that inside the weapon, as far as I know. But the seller mentioned that the reason why this figure is cheap is that it's missing that part. So I was like, it's fine. I'm good with it because I already own the same weapon as well. So I'm just happy with the fact that I have this figure. But the other part that the seller did not mention is this white part right over here. So if you buy the original piece, original figure, you should have a black piece that clips both of these pieces together right over here, like this. Now this one is basically, I feel like the previous owner lost the original piece. The original piece is supposed to be black, and they're supposed to, like, when you attach these together, you're supposed to get like a click noise. But I assume he lost it, so he made his own version using like with leftover plastic. So yeah, at least he tried to do something with that. So just letting you guys know, unless this is supposed to what it's supposed to be, because in the original level 3 figure I had a black piece inside there. So if for those who have a brand new figure, do let me know on the comments. Alright, so now let's get on to the review. So before we go on to articulation, just a quick note on this rider himself. Now currently we have about 4 figures, if I remember correctly. So we have this one, these two, and then we have a level 5 form, which is kind of similar to this form, but a little bit more simple looking. And then we do have his motorcycle form, as far as I know, but that is another P-Bandai version, which happens to be more expensive than these guys for some reason. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but there was a Kamen Rider Lazer level X, which is a blue version of this guy. I'm not sure if that thing's out or not, but still, yeah. So we do have a bit of an option, but these two are the best options if you ask me. Alright, so As I mentioned, this guy is a level 0 form. This one is a level 3, which I reviewed some time ago. In Kamen Rider EX-Aid, the characters, they have their, depending on their level, their design slash forms look very different. So on the Kamen Rider and EX-Aid, like for example, level 1 would be these SD style chibi characters where they have large bodies, large head, short arms, and legs. Those forms are meant for very specific tasks, and yeah, so, and then after that, they can go up to level 2, which is like this humanoid form, supposedly. But for Kamen Rider Lazer, his level 2 form is actually the motorcycle form. Yes, he actually turns into a motorcycle. And then later at level 3, he gets this humanoid form. And after getting this form, he was killed off really fast by another enemy, which really made me sad. But still, he came back from the dead, and then now he has this form. So that's just the overall story. And as you can see, very different like designs, but still you can see the similarities or the base form going on here. And I believe, according to on Twitter, some people did actually take this mask off from the figure for some. I'm not sure how, but it does actually reveal a similar face to that. Alright, so other than that, let's get on to the review right away. So here, let's look at the articulation. So let's look at the head. So for the head, now a lot of people originally at first when the series started didn't really give good comments regarding the series because of the overall design. Especially some people were complaining with the eyes, but that's just one of the, you know, goofy like designs they tend to put in the Kamen Rider series time to time. So the head, we have all these spikes going on here, not as sharp as you would think, but do be careful because I believe some people did break these parts or kind of bent the end tip here, and I've seen people selling this figure for very cheap because they actually broke off a few horns, so just be aware of that. So the head can go down that much and then up that much and then 360. I'm not sure it's possible because a lot of parts are stiff and blocking the way, and keep in mind there's a human inside, so 360 twist on the neck shouldn't be possible even for a real human. Alright, and then the body, we have a very basic articulation. So I believe if you have like Kamen Rider EX-Aid level 2 or the other riders, he should have the same amount of articulation here. So you have a nice ab crunch and body articulation here, side to side, and then you can twist it. Now it won't go 360, but if you force it, you could technically work it out, but that's going to ruin a few areas, which I've shown in front of camera before. Now the arms, we have your typical forward and backward shoulder movement, and then the shoulder arms do move on their own. They can kind of pop out like this onto the side, but yeah, 360 twist should be possible. And once again, the lower arm is also 360 rotation is possible, and we have a nice decent bend going on here. And your hands are your typical SHF style hands, where unlike Gunpla where the ball joint is on the hand, the ball joint is on the arm, so keep that in mind. Let's see, and then the arms can go to the side about 90 degrees, and you can slightly go up more, or depending on how you work this out, you may be able to go more, but as far as I know, this is the normal articulation for SHF figure arts. Now, looking at the belts, definitely the belt was at first not really well taken, but after the show got, you know, really popular, these belts got really, really rare. And I mean the DX toy version, not the real one, because just saying. So the DX toys got really popular, especially with the gashats. I do suggest you don't buy the gashats from Korea because I believe those, yeah, because I believe some of them, not entirely, some of them have a different noise tone. I might need to recheck that, but so yeah. Alright, so, yeah, so the belt, you can buy the belt itself, but not the gashats in Korea. So, you can open, like in the real series, this is the closed up belt form. This is, you ride the, sorry about that, you wear the belt and then you insert the gashat, and this will grant you the level 1 form. And then at the level 1 form, you open this up and it will grant you the level 2 form. Now for level 3, you add another gashat here and then open up, then you will get to your level 3 form. So that's the way how it goes. So the belt is kind of bulky compared to other, like, you know, Kamen Rider belts, but still it works. And yeah. And you have these slots right over here for, now originally you're supposed to be able to slot in other extra gashats here, but in this case the gashats are missing the lower part. Now in the real actual series there should be like a clear plastic, you know, popping out here, but in this case for the figures they kind of, you know, did this, so there's no way to actually store these in properly. I mean, you might be able to modify it to work so, but yeah. And then here we have another slot here which allows you put in the gashat and then will allow you to do a rider kick or finisher move. And in this case this does actually fit here, so yeah, but just really difficult because the pieces are small. Now the legs, now do keep in mind these lines here, they may not align well, but this is the way how it's supposed to look, and each left and right looks different, so don't freak out. That's just the way how it's supposed to be. So you get a nice decent side swivel going on here. You can go forward and backward, but the backward not so much because of the butt. And you can go, now going to the side is kind of tricky. Now this side should have no problem going to the side, but in this case, the other way, you have these parts that might collide a little bit. And in general, these things don't go to the side too well, so if you want to go more, you're going to have to actually extend both of the legs so you can do a decent kick pose. Like that. And then we have a decent bend going on here, nothing too special regarding this. And then the feet has a nice pivot joint left and right, and you can rotate the feet 360. Now once again, I've had certain figures that don't rotate for some reason, or unless they were just extremely stiff. And lastly, we can go forward and backward on the feet, and a nice toe bend. Of course, for a human being to do that, you would either need really large shoes, or that would just be really painful. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the figure, and I think right away, I'll be right back with the weapon demonstrations. Okay, so here's one of the examples. So just doing one of those poses that were mentioned in the box. Yeah, this character, he's like not like a desperate, serious character. He's like an easygoing character as well when you think about it. But still, I'm really glad you are able to pull off some poses that are mentioned in the box, because I have had experience with certain products where they couldn't do the pose that were mentioned on the box. So in this case, this figure is capable of doing so. Now the gashacon sparrow, once you have it on your hands, I would like to mention that there is actually a trigger part on the top of this section right over here. So it's not really recommendable holding the middle section here, because you can, as you guys saw previously, this is actually two sides like combined into one. So there is like a middle splitting part, and with that new piece here, or even with the previous piece, it's not like the strongest connection out there. So yeah, I do suggest that you hold the top section right over here, because that does make sense, because the trigger section is there. So just to give you guys an idea, so basically this is how it looks like without the other half. Now this is where the handles are, but in the size mode, this is where you hold. So for example, if you want to hold it into the size mode, this is basically what you, whoops, yeah, be careful when you drop the figure, especially on the back, because on the back here there's also some horns there. These are not fragile, but they are easier to scratch if you keep constantly dropping to the back here. So anyway, for the size to actually be hold, this is where you hold it. Now technically, even weapon wise, there is actually a small trigger point here on the top, so technically you should be holding it on here to have a more stable grip. But in the series, he actually holds like the weapon like this time to time, and when he only needs to do the final finisher move, I guess he does click that point when he needs to. So once again, I'll be right back with both sides and a proper pose that is mentioned on the box. Okay, so here's the final demonstration. So on the this is kind of similar to the pose that it's mentioned on the box. So I'm not sure if this pose is supposed to be like just a very like a generic action pose, or like attacking pose with this weapon, but it could be the pose where he actually does right before he does his finisher move. There's a 3 to 4 second time where he actually like charges up both of his weapons, and then he kind of throws these energy slashes with these weapons. So it could be like right before that moment. So but still, once again, it works thanks to all the simplistic body form. It is much more easier to pose, because back in the level 3 version, there was just these bulky armors on the legs, and then these extra armors that were all around the arms, which actually made it really hard to do certain like posing, or just it made it less difficult to handle the figure. But this one, much more simple and much more easier to like touch around and like move around, so no problem at all. So once again, that was pretty much the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Lazer Turbo. If you are a big fan of this character or this rider, I would highly suggest on getting level 0, because once again, level 3 is also cool in my opinion, but still it is a little bit hard to like deal or manage because all the stuff going on. So if you want something more simple but still want to have the Kamen Rider Lazer, this is definitely one of the best picks if you ask me. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the SHF Kamen Rider Lazer Turbo. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave them comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.